Hi guys, it's Paula. I hope you're doing well today. Before I get started on this video, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you who've been commenting and supporting me on my videos overall since the start of my YouTube channel, but especially the last video I made, my Confessions of a Makeup Hoarder. It's so nice to see when you guys comment your love and support and kindness, and I just wanted to let you guys know that I do really appreciate it. I try to respond to all the comments. I actually just posted that video yesterday, so I'm still going through some of them, but you guys have just made me feel so welcome here on YouTube, and I really appreciate it. Now, on to today's topic. I thought it would be fun, a fun exercise for me to choose my top 5 eyeshadow palettes. So as I've already disclosed in my last video, I have a lot of eyeshadow palettes I've never touched or never used. So those, although they might one day become my favorite eyeshadow palettes, I wouldn't say are today's current eyeshadow palette. So all of the eyeshadow palettes that I am showing in today's video have been used at least a few times. I wish I could say that I've used them all a lot and have hit pan, but the truth is a lot of them I've used enough to know that I love them, and that's all I can say about them. But I guess this is kind of one of those scenarios, like if I had to grab 5 eyeshadow palettes out of my collection right now, today in February of 2018, these are the 5 I would choose. Right? Does that make sense? Right, yeah. Okay, I think there's gonna be a trend with the first 3, and part of it just goes with the makeup trends that are popular today, and part of these are colors that I just love to wear, whether it's popular or not, and I do think I will continue to love to wear them for a long time. So these are ranked. In the 5th place slot is my Desert Sunset palette by Lorac. This is from the Unzipped line, and this palette has kept me from buying a couple of other palettes that are similar, but more expensive and have a lot of the same colors. Like, for example, the Huda palette. I would love to own the Huda palette, but this palette has kept me from buying that one, at least so far. I was recently talking to a friend, RD Lover Bunny, who said that this palette was disappointing to her. So if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I know this isn't your favorite, but this shade down here called Dunes is possibly my all-time favorite peach eyeshadow, my all-time favorite peach eyeshadow ever. Prior to this, my favorite peach shadow was Nectar from the Lorac Pro 2 palette, but I just love this shade. It is so bright and beautiful and very flattering. And Meditation, I love to add into my outer corner or even in my crease. I wear it a lot with like duochrome shadows similar to the one in the Huda palette, but that I have as singles. And I just use this to deepen up the outer corner and the crease, and I just love it. And the rest of these shadows are good too. This light shimmery shade called Curious. Let me move it in so you guys can see it. That's a gorgeous brow bone and inner corner highlight. I love the reds. You know, the browns, of course, are, you know, great, you know, basic shadows to have. This brown is really deep and pigmented, and it can be a great liner if you just want to smoke out a look. It's great for that too. So I love all of these shadows, and I love this palette. All right, the next palette I thought I would rank in the 4th place position is my Modern Renaissance palette from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I know I don't need to open it. You guys have all seen this palette a million times over. There are a lot of similarities in shades between these 2 palettes, like I was saying. Okay, Paula, get it together. So, as you can see, let's see right there. There are a lot of similarities in colors. These are just colors that I'm loving right now, that I'm gravitating towards, and that I can't seem to get enough of. So, both these palettes alone can give me a great eyeshadow look. That was one of the requirements that I looked for in choosing these top 5 palettes, is that each one of these palettes can create a look on its own without me bringing in any additional shadows or palettes or anything like that. My number 3 spot goes to the Colored Rain Queen of Hearts palette. I kept the outer sleeve. I very rarely keep packaging for my makeup because it would just take up too much space and you know, I can live without it. But this is so gorgeous that I cannot get rid of this sleeve. I'll show you what the palette looks like without it. Wah, wah. It's just, it's not nearly as pretty without the sleeve as it is with it. And like I said, even though I have the Modern Renaissance palette and the Lorac Desert Sunset palette, these shades are similar to those two. But I love them. I love them, I love them, I love them. These are just the colors I love. I also love this purpley lavender silver color. I think that is so gorgeous, and this copper color. I think those two shades really make this palette quite unique. Boy, what a dreary day outside. This is also shimmer, like a pressed shimmery pigment. These two are also, I haven't really played around with these two too much. They're pretty dark for me for an everyday look, but I love this palette. So you can see I have a type. Those 3 palettes are very similar. But I love them, and it's just what I love wearing right now. February of 2018, that's what I'm all about. Okay, my next palette in the 2nd place position is a classic. It is one of those palettes that I would definitely consider putting in a pan that palette because I think I could wear it for an entire year and never get sick of it. But I also know that I would immediately go out and rebuy it if I panned it because I love it so much. And it is the Tartelette In Bloom palette. It is one of my absolute favorites, especially this bottom row here. If Tarte wanted to make this into a quad, I would buy it. I love it. I absolutely love it. It's all I need in a look, or a nice shimmery, you know, champagne color, a peachy color, or a, you know, that's kind of deeper than peach, but a nice light transition color, a brown, a matte brown, and a matte dark brown. And I can wear that every, I could wear that quad every day and never get sick of it. And of course, these top 2 rows make nice quads too. I'm just not as drawn to them as I am to that bottom warm colored quad. And I do mix them around when I use this palette, but I do think that these are nicely arranged as quads, so I do tend to stick with them. I just love it. I love this palette. Okay, finally, my number 1 eyeshadow palette that I would grab if I could only grab 5 eyeshadow palettes and had to let go of the rest would be my Natasha Denona. I believe this is called the green brown palette or the green palette. It's the only Natasha Denona palette I own. I bought it at one of the Sephora VIB sales, so I did get 20% off, but it was still ridiculously expensive. I am definitely one of those people that care less about the cost of an item and more about the quality and how much I'll use it and get out of it. And so even though this is ridiculously expensive, I'm more bothered by the fact that I'm not using it as much as I should be than the fact that it costs as much as it does. I just wish I was using it more. Like I said, I've used it enough to know that I love it and that I'm glad I have it. I almost bought another Natasha Denona palette at the last Sephora VIB sale in November, and I had to check myself. I really did, because I thought, you haven't even used this one enough. You can't justify buying another palette when this one hasn't been used enough as it is. So I did put this in a project, my MVP project pan, to try and encourage myself to pull it out and use it regularly, and I'm still really not using it that regularly, maybe once a month at most, but I would definitely grab it if I could only grab 5 palettes. I do have 2 honorable mentions that I wanted to shout out to. They're both matte palettes, and so that's why they're not in my top 5, because I really, really, really do love to have a champagne shimmery shadow in my eye look pretty much every day. And so I do not consider either of these palettes a standalone palette, but I still think that they are wonderful, and I would recommend these both to anybody who was drawn to the color choices that are in each of them. The first one being the Too Faced Natural Matte Palette. This is an oldie but a goodie. Again, you could probably guess which row is my favorite row, and it's, you know, like this one, and then these 2 down here are my favorite shadows of the bunch. But I just think this is such a great shadow, or I'm sorry, such a great palette to own. You could buy this and a couple of Super Shock shadows, or Stila Kitten, or, you know, whatever your favorite pop of color is that's shimmery and metallic, L'Oreal Infallible shadow, and go on vacation and be good. Like if I was to travel, I would probably bring this and a L'Oreal Infallible, you know, one of those pressed pigment pots, and that's it. You're good to go. So I don't travel. I never go anywhere. But if I did, I would probably bring this one along and a couple of loose pressed pigments and be done. So my second honorable mention also goes to a Too Faced palette, and that is the Just Peachy Mattes palette. These colors are not for everyone. If you do not like these warm colors, or if you are just over it and moving on to other colors, obviously this is not the palette for you, but I just think this is a gorgeous range of colors. I think it's pretty clear at this point that I love peach and red and browns, and so this isn't a standalone palette for me. I'd need to throw in something else to give me a little bit of shimmer. If it wasn't for that, it would probably be in my top 5. It does smell heavenly. It smells great. I love the smell of it. And I think it's wonderful. So those are my top makeup palettes that I currently own and that I've actually used on my eyes that I would grab if I had to. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. Let me know what your top eyeshadow palette is, if it's one of these or if it's something I didn't mention. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.